Hi there fabric jugglers, it's Babs here from Fiery Phoenix, and today I'm going to be taking you through how to use another one of the feet from the 32 Presser Foot collection. You don't need to have that collection, but this does show you how to use this particular foot, which is a free motion quilting foot. It has the eye so that you can see what it is that you're actually working on. It has the spring-loaded foot plate so that it will move smoothly over the thickness of the wadding, and this isn't a bar attachment, so you will need to have either the original tool that came with your sewing machine. I'm lucky I still have my original tool, or you can use a screwdriver, a flat bladed screwdriver, so that you can attach this using the screw head attachment on the side of the presser foot arm. I'm going to use a screwdriver. It's just a flat-headed slot screwdriver because I suspect more people will have lost their original tools than haven't. So we'll go with just using a regular screwdriver. And if you're not sure what this particular foot does, it allows you to produce this free motion quilting effect. I mean, my free motion is not as good as it should be. But for the purposes of this tutorial, I'll show you a brief example of how to create some random meandering quilting. So what you'll need for this is your foot. If you don't have a retractable feed dog on your sewing machine, you're going to need a covering base plate. I have a very simple sewing machine, so I'm going to need to use a base plate. I've got scissors, I've got a pin, I've got my screwdriver, and I have some fabric with wadding in the middle. So I've created my quilt sandwich, and just for the purposes of this demonstration, I have used pins to hold it in place. I haven't gone through and stitched it as I would normally if I was basting a quilt. So that's everything that you need. If you go grab some of those goodies, and I'll show you how to attach the foot. If you can hear some strange sounds, Sophie is galloping around the conservatory at the moment, so she might skitter around in the background. So if you hear that strange little sound, I'm not being attacked by giant spiders, it is my puppy. And what we're going to do first is remove the initial or original foot. So I'll just turn the sewing machine around slightly so that you can see this screw head here. And what we're going to do is, making sure that we have the sewing machine powered off, is we're going to unscrew the foot, let that drop down, and then we take this away. We're not using the bar attachment, so we just take that foot away completely, and then we move on to replacing it with the new presser foot that we're going to be using. And what we're going to do is use this square slot to attach it to the sewing machine. So again, we just slide that under, and please bear with me as I am doing this at completely the wrong angle. If you need to, in the case of this foot, you can use the bar at the back and slide it up so that you've actually got room to then slot that in place. You can then lower the presser foot to make sure that you've got that exactly where it needs to be, and push it up from underneath, and then tighten that back up. Don't over tighten because you will shred the plastic. Yes, Sophie agrees, that's very important. You mustn't over tighten. And then your foot is in place. Now what I'm going to do is turn it back around so that you can see what we need to do with the threads. So as you can see, we've started off and we have one thread out the top, one thread running along the bottom, and nothing's going through the base of the foot at the moment. I also have my feet dogs exposed, so I need to use my cover to close that off. So we'll just slide that in place. Now the thread can slide underneath. There is a gap at the bottom which allows me to then manoeuvre all the threads into the position that I want them. Now you can use a stiletto, or if you don't have a stiletto, I'm just going to be using a bog standard pin. So I turn the hand crank and make sure that I pull the top thread up and over and with it will come the bottom thread, and I want everything out the top of this foot. So I just use my pin to make sure that everything is coming out at the top of the foot. I can press the base plate down just to make sure that is all still secure. And now I am ready to start preparing the fabric. So it sounds very complicated, but once you've got the hang of it, it's very straightforward. And as I said, I haven't basted this fabric for this example. I have merely pinned it together. Now what we want to do, whenever we do any free motion quilting, we really want to have all of our threads at the top so we can see them, so that we don't get, and here's one that I made earlier, we don't create this nasty knotting effect in the back of our quilt. We don't want that effect at all. And the way to avoid that is by pulling the threads up to the top of the fabric. So we drop the presser foot, and again we hand crank and then pull the threads through all the way back up to the top surface. And I'm not sure if you can see what I'm doing, my hand is definitely in the way. So there we go, with the thread coming up, and then we simply pull that all the way through to the top. There we are. So we have both threads coming out the top, drop our presser foot, and we're actually ready to begin. I always hold the thread just to start, and we turn the sewing machine on. Make sure that we have a stitch length of 0 and that you actually have room, because you're going to be moving the fabric with your hands. So I'm not going to do a massive amount of demonstration for this, it's just going to be a small amount. Now once you've started, I always finish with the needle down, but this is the last time in this process that I will be using our pin, and what I do is pull through the top threads so that they're no longer in the way and they're out the back of our embroidery or our quilting, whatever it is we're doing, free motion embroidery or free motion quilting, and then I can begin to move the fabric more easily. If I was to do a star, it wouldn't necessarily be the prettiest, but as you can see, you can embroider all sorts of bits and pieces, and you can create a variety of quilting shapes, and that is all done using, if we take a look, you can see this heart, there's my very dodgy star, and some circles and twirls. Now I'm not trying to do this to show you how to do nice quilting, this is just how to use the foot, because at the moment I am pretzeled around the camera, so there is no way on earth that I would be able to achieve nice quality quilting stitches. However, I do have a series of quilting tutorials which will be coming up soon, which will take you through how to baste and prepare your quilts, and also I won't be pretzeling myself around the camera. The camera will be positioned such that I can have free range to quilt, and I'll show you how to go about doing that properly as against this this version. But this is merely, as I say, not to show off my amazing quilting skills, which this clearly doesn't, but it is to show you how to use the quilting free arm. So hopefully that has been a tutorial which has been of use to you, and if it has, please give the video a thumbs up, share it around with any of your friends who you think might be interested, and take a look around the rest of the channel. There are a whole host of tutorials. I think we're coming up to about 85 tutorials on the channel now. They're all organised in different playlists, from beginner skills, sewing machine skills, tutorials. We've got some crochet on there as well. And as I say, I will be starting a series of the free motion embroidery stitches and how you go about practicing, download sheets, and how you prep your fabric to actually begin quilting with it in the first place. So if any of that sounds like it might be interesting, the best thing to do is to subscribe to the channel. So that's a big red button, or you can click on the Fiery Phoenix logo in the top left corner at any time, so that you can then subscribe to the channel, which means that all these lovely tutorials will just drop into your YouTube feed without you having to go look for them. I upload tutorials on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and hopefully I will see you around again. Bye for now.